Anastasia Fedorovna Shneznaya. Ooh, she looks fire. This might be the greatest duo of all time in Genshin drip marketing history. And there's Illuga. What's good, y'all? I'm Zero Dre and welcome back. Today we will be checking out Genshin drip marketing for 6.3 characters. So the first one that they released, it was Columbina. We knew that she'd eventually be playable, considering that we also got some of her gameplay, even though it was us just using her to walk around in both Act 5 and Act 6 of the Nod Cry Archon quest. And here we have it. Moonlit Dove, where lies your cove? Columbina Hyposelenia. And that's cool. Columbina Hyposelenia. That's the name that she decided to identify with or to use after we found her, calling out to her name Columbina, and then when she appeared, gave us her full name, Columbina Hyposelenia. And as she said, Hyposelenia means born beneath the moon. And she also said that it could also mean born beneath this world. Winter nights know no mercy. She left her curtained nest in frost and snow. No one is obliged to restore that which she has lost. Anastasia Fedorovna Shneznaya. This is giving me the same vibes as Farina de Fontaine.
Please put your hands together for our national icon, Fontaine's biggest celebrity, one of the 7 archons of Tibet, the Regina of all orders, kindred, peoples, and laws, Farina de Fontaine!
Where the last name of the ruler of that nation or the archon of that nation, her last name is the nation itself. So is this the Tsaritsa? Or is this just like one of the maybe nobles that we will encounter once we get there? Because it's very rare for individuals to have the name of their nation as part of their full name. From what I can recall, I think only Farina has it. So if this is the Tsaritsa, they're already leaving the breadcrumbs. They're already leaving the trail of breadcrumbs. Because it makes sense since we're about a year away, more or less, before we get to Shneznaya, before we finally meet the Cryo Archon. And if so, that's interesting because Anastasia, or maybe Anastasia, reminds me of someone named Anna in Honkai Impact 3rd. If y'all are familiar, Anna Shariak, the one who ended up becoming the Hersher of Ice Cryo, right? But no, I still do think that Bronya is going to be, like, the design will be based off of or inspired by Bronya from the Honkai series. But hey, maybe, who knows? And anyway, it's not even about the Tsaritsa. It's about Columbina's drip marketing. Columbina Hyposelenia. Title: The Welkin Moon's Homecoming?
What?
Ayo. The Welkin Moon? What? The Welkin Moon's Homecoming? Wait, hold on. I mean, we all know that she is supposed to be the newborn Frost Moon, but why the hell does she have that kind of title? The Welkin Moon's Homecoming. And I'm assuming Homecoming because, again, we just finished Act 6 of the Nodcry Archon quest. Video for that will be up in a few hours or more. But no, Homecoming, because maybe, I mean, she disappeared, right? Like at the end of Act 6, she disappeared. We saw her falling into that moon gate. We saw her falling into what looks like the inside of that moon gate. Or how they described it as like the reflection of the moon. So maybe Homecoming, because again, we know she is going to pop back up again. Because we are already planning on finding her. So it's only a matter of time before we do. But man, Welkin Moon's Homecoming? But what is this about her being the Welkin Moon? And then of course her title as the Moon Maiden. Ooh, interesting. It doesn't say vision, it doesn't say a moon wheel. Because again, her power comes from the moon, the Frost Moon. So I wonder what exactly is going to be the name of where she gets her powers from. Because the last character we got who had something different was Skirk, who had 7 Shifting Serpent. And Constellation, okay, Constellation is also unnamed. And you can see too the headdress or the headpiece here. Like, was it always propped up like this? Or maybe it's just because we're seeing it from this angle. To Columbina, this planet was never a kind mother. It gave her a singular, extraordinary identity when it birthed her, but that seemed to exhaust all the love it could offer. In the days that followed, her mother rejected her outstretched arms with cold silence. Columbina could only close her eyes and grope forward between one wall and another. The maze that trapped her was a circle, a spiraling tower reaching upward. Columbina softly hummed the melodies in her memory, her only connection to her mother. Barefoot, she walked through the Frostmoon Enclave, and Glupov, eventually returning to the Silver Moon Hall, where her own echoes still lingered on the walls. But unlike before, she had finally found a name of her own with the help of her friends. She now had hope, as well as desires. She wanted to go home. Now at the top of the tower, the moon that held her answers hovered just within reach. She outstretched her arms, but it was like the moon falling into water. That kind of resembles the visual that we saw of her. But yeah, that's Columbina's drip marketing. Again, I've said this in, I think, Act 5. But Columbina is my favorite Harbinger ever since we saw the Winter Nights Lazo teaser. But after we saw Tartaglia's voice lines about his fellow Harbingers, and we saw his voice line about Columbina, and then similarly, Wanderer Arlecchino's voice lines about her, made it even more apparent that she's actually one of the strongest. And then the more that we learned about her story, her rough past, and then just her progression as a character, just justifies even more why she is my favorite Harbinger. So definitely day 1, we are getting her for sure. Okay, next up we have Heaven and Earth Fleeting, an instant's gleam. I roam a wild steed through dust and dream. Zibai. Ooh, she looks fire. And she kind of looked like from ZZZ. Yishuan Shifu, right? At least from this side profile. The wind carves benevolent favors into stories, sweeping them into the far corners of the world. It whispers tales into legends softened by the mists of memory, destined to be forgotten. Why then did you make such a choice? Ruler of Time, Istaroth.
These meetings are just a formality. Does it really matter that only 3 of us...
Yo, how goated are you that one of the shades, the ruler of time, is the one introducing you in your drip marketing? That's crazy. And through that book, Springs of Hidden Jade, we did get hints that the White Horse Adeptus, Zibai, might be connected to the ruler of time, Istaroth, because they did mention that the people of the mountains, they saw her as like the daughter of time. And then she even said something along the lines of she's just waiting for like the 1,000 threads. And we all know that Istaroth is known as like the 1,000 winds, Venti being like a singular thread of the 1,000 winds. So is she really like the daughter of time? Even in that same book, the person she encountered, she basically gave him her perspective of what life is like for her as an adepti, as a long living being, like how she perceives time differently. So through that book alone, like she has a lot of ties to time. And then Zibai. Title: White Horse's Fleeting Spring, the White Horse Adeptus from Liwei's Legends, Moonwheel, Geo, Constellation, Aqua Alba. White Horse's Fleeting Spring, the White Horse Adeptus from Liwei's Legends. I guess this is the raincoat that's been described in the 2 books that she was mentioned in. She got a cool design, bro. And there are a lot of moon designs on her outfit too. Like right here. And then right here on her back. And the fact that she has a moon wheel instead of a vision. She was even mentioned in Yanfei's anecdotes, when Yanfei wound up exploring the Frost Moon Scions. If memory serves, our books do chronicle a divine envoy who once dwelled on the moon. A White Horse Adeptus, is there such a person among the Adepti of Liyue? Lumine is a lore skipper. Among the people of Liyue, tales of the Adepti are ever abundant. Like the leisurely Adeptus of the clouds who dispelled droughts with nourishing rain in the full record of pristine pavilion. That kind of reminds me of Cloud Retainer. And the golden winged king who purged plagues and banished pestilence in Yaksha's the Guardian Adepti. They are all beings of immense power, guardians of peace in every corner of the land, who the people hold in reverence and awe. And there was in particular a certain White Horse Adeptus whose trail pervades many a book and folktale. Some say she became a steed as white as snow, and in the days of the Archon War, aided Rex Lapis in attaining supremacy over the mortal realm. Others whisper that her eyes, like amber touched with gold, hold the power to gaze through the desolate wastelands of time itself. Another time mention. Still, others claim she has always lived on the moon, listening to the wishes of mortals and keeping watch over the world of flickering lights below. Yet, amidst all these different accounts, none could truly capture her visage, nor paint a likeness of her form. Whether amidst gentle tea-time chatter, or in debates pouring out over ink-filled scrolls, each view was a glimpse through a keyhole, catching naught but fragments, never the full picture. In any case, she was as a shard of blessed light, a wild goose upon the snow, whose footprints vanish with the morning. Still, her yesteryears linger in the mortal dust, and her tale awaits its dawn into the world of the waking. Seeing her design, and then again her ties to Istaroth, Daughter of Time, like residing in the moon, and how cool she looks too. And again, she kind of looks like Yishun Shifu from ZZZ. She's definitely a day one pull too. That's if I get lucky and I don't run out of Primo Gems. Next up is Shining Through Nightmares, Herald of the Day, Illuga. One of the Lightkeepers. Flynn has mentioned him in his voice lines as well as in his character stories. From what we know, based off of Flynn's stories about him, is that he's the one who constantly goes to visit Flynn's lighthouse to check up on him, bringing him supplies and then having conversations with him. And also based off of Flynn's stories about him, it seems like this Starshina, the leader of the Lightkeepers, Nikita, like that's his pops, because he mentioned something about wanting to give his old pops Nikita like a gift for taking care of him ever since he was little. Yo, he looks cool too. He looks like he could be in, I don't know, he got that same or similar looking fit like that Cloud has. He looks like he could be in Final Fantasy VII or maybe Kingdom Hearts. Illuga is very grateful for the Knights of Avonius' help in battle. Unfortunately, he's gone off on another investigation, so he asked me to give you this bottle of wine as a token of his thanks. Haha, that's very kind of him. But honestly, he's the one who worked the hardest. Too bad he's not here. I can't exactly refuse. How about we open it here? I'll tell you all about how promising this kid really is. Heh, drinking's fine, but don't try to poach Illuga from me while you're at it. A conversation between Starshina Nikita and Varka before they got roaring drunk. Name, Illuga. Title, Burning Heart Amidst the Nightmare. Member of the investigation squad, the Nightmare Orioles. Vision, Geo. Okay, he has that color palette similar to Geo characters. Constellation Aureolus. Yeah, he looks cool. I hope he has a good, decent kit. Because it'd be cool to have him like outside in the overworld, just exploring. And maybe he'll have the same like special interaction that Flint's has when you encounter lanterns all over Nodcry. Or when you encounter like the Wild Hunt and then Flint's lantern turns red. Maybe he has something similar to that. And how Flint's can translate or understand like the dialogue of the Wild Hunt. For new members joining the Lightkeepers, few things are more fortunate than having a leader like Illuga. Though Lightkeepers witness the tragic aftermath of the Wild Hunt's rampages every day, and the atmosphere in their quarters can often grow heavy and oppressive, Illuga somehow remains positive. He not only manages all tasks efficiently, but also offers careful, thoughtful support to his teammates. Walking beside him, it feels as if even the lantern in your hand glows a little warmer. Some people wonder why someone like him hasn't chosen to work in logistics, but instead insists on going to the dangerous front lines without unwavering resolve and strong inner drive. Even optimistic smiles will one day be drowned by the purple-black despair. Yet whenever they hear Illuga recite the Lightkeeper's oath with conviction, such doubts vanish from their hearts. Undoubtedly, beneath his gentle exterior burns a fierce, blazing fire. What are the ideals and beliefs of the Lightkeepers? This is the question newcomers ask most often, and each Lightkeeper would answer differently. Yet there is always a common thread in these answers: protection and salvation, steadfastness and unwavering resolve. They speak of a bright outcome or a noble vision, grand and magnificent beyond measure. But Illuga desires little beyond defeating the Wild Hunt, for he realizes that in its current state, Pyramida already embodies that ideal. Only those who have endured the nightmare can truly grasp how precious the daylight is. What he wishes to protect is simple: the present. That's fire. Oh, you can even see that he has like scars on his neck here. Which of the 6.3 characters are you most excited to get? Is it Columbina, or is it Zibai, or maybe Illuga? And you can't lie, his design is fire too. I think that's the standard for having to join the Lightkeepers. Like, you need to look cool. But yeah, how excited are you guys for 6.3? The conclusion maybe of the Nodcry Archon quests? Like, why is Columbina dubbed as the Welkin Moon's homecoming if she's the Frost Moon? And if once we get Zibai as a playable character, if we learn more about her connection to Istaroth, how or where she originated from, because she's an Adepti in Leeway, but it says here that she has always lived on the moon, or at least that's what others claim. So yeah, much like Nicole, she definitely has a ton of lore hidden in her profile maybe. And once we get to meet her in game, and it's just right in time for Lantern Rite 2. But yeah, this might be the greatest duo of all time in Genshin drip marketing history. And there's Illuga. Let me know in the comments like how excited you are for these characters and for 6.3. But yeah, that's about it. Peace.